Ladies and gentlemen, prayer in its most profound form is not a begging of the divine, nor is it a transactional act. It is the soul's call, the heart's longing, and the mind's surrender to the cosmos. Yet many of us approach it with a sense of limitation, as though prayer is a request to be answered within a particular time frame in a specific manner. But let us pause and reflect on the deeper essence of prayer. Prayer is not a demand from the universe. It is an invitation for you to align yourself with its rhythms. When you ask for something, the prayer is not simply about that object or result. It is about bringing your inner world into harmony with the larger forces of existence. The external manifestation will follow the internal transformation. Now, how many times have we found ourselves praying only to be disheartened when our desires go unanswered in the way we expect? But let me ask you this, why should you stop praying simply because the immediate result is not visible? Think about it. The universe moves in its own time, and this rhythm is far more complex than our limited understanding. The persistence in prayer is not to force the world into your wishes, but to shape your own mind and being to be ready for what is to come. Prayer, in its truest form, is an act of endurance. But it's not just about asking. Prayer changes the one who prays. In the act of asking, seeking, and surrendering, you begin to transform yourself. It is not the world outside that needs to change, it is you. The process of constant prayer hones your clarity, your vision, and your understanding of yourself. It purifies your intentions, refines your purpose, and molds your soul to hold what the world will offer you. You are the one being prepared, whether you know it or not. And through it all, remember this: faith is not the act of expecting a specific outcome. Faith is the trust that the process is unfolding in the right way, even if you do not see it. It is easy to lose faith when things seem to be moving slowly or not at all, but faith is the foundation that sustains you. Without faith, prayer is just an empty ritual, and life becomes a constant struggle to wrestle outcomes from the hands of the universe. Now, what is the most difficult part of prayer? It is not the asking, it is not the waiting, it is the surrender, it is detachment from the result. If you hold on too tightly, if you grasp too firmly, you will choke the very thing you seek. Prayer is not about clinging to the outcome, but about releasing your need to control. Let go, detach. Trust that whatever unfolds will be the best for you, even if it's not what you imagine. And here is the beauty of it. Prayer opens the door to infinite possibilities. It is not limited by your desires. It expands your consciousness to the abundant potentials that lie beyond your expectations. When one door closes, prayer guides you to another. So do not be disheartened when things do not unfold as you imagined. Do not stop. Continue to pray until it happens, not because you want it in a certain way, but because in the act of continuous prayer, you will open yourself to a reality far greater than you could have ever dreamt. So pray until it happens, not as a demand, but as an invitation. Pray and let the prayer transform you. Pray and let the universe respond in its own time, its own way. And know that when it happens, it will not only be a manifestation of your desires, but a revelation of the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. Prayer for many has become a ritualistic act, a practice often confined to specific times, locations, and forms. Whether it's a brief whisper before sleep, a structured prayer in a temple, or a silent wish for a better day, prayer is often reduced to a mechanical gesture, something that we do out of habit or duty. Yet true prayer transcends these rituals and enters a space of deep connection, not with a distant deity or some external force, but with the very fabric of life itself. At its core, prayer is a form of communication. But this communication is not just about asking for something. It's not a request for favors or blessings. It's about establishing a bond, an understanding, a flow between you and the universe. We often approach prayer with a transactional mindset. If I pray hard enough, will I get what I want? This thinking confines prayer to a narrow, materialistic view. True prayer, however, is not an exchange of goods. It is an invitation for a deeper alignment with the larger forces that govern our lives. We need to realize that prayer, in its most profound sense, is about establishing an inner connection, an intimate relationship with the universe. It's a way of attuning yourself to the larger rhythms of existence. Think of it as tuning a musical instrument. When you align with the natural flow, the music of life plays effortlessly. But if you are out of sync, nothing you do will sound right no matter how hard you try. Prayer, when understood deeply, is not an attempt to change the world around you, but an effort to change yourself, to attune yourself to the flow of life, to recognize that the essence of existence is always working in your favor, even if you do not yet understand it. We often feel disconnected from this larger cosmic rhythm. We think of ourselves as isolated individual beings struggling against the forces around us. This sense of separation can lead to frustration, as if we are constantly pushing against a world that doesn't care. But prayer, when it is no longer seen as a ritual but as an expression of connection, offers a different perspective. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are not separate from the universe, but part of it. The universe is not something external that we must try to influence. It is the very life energy that flows through us. By praying, we reconnect with that flow, and suddenly life begins to feel less like a battle and more like a dance. True prayer comes from a place of sincerity and vulnerability. It is not about reciting words without meaning or repeating phrases out of obligation. When we truly pray, we open ourselves to the vastness of existence, acknowledging that there are forces far greater than us, forces that we do not fully understand. It is an act of surrender, a willingness to trust that there is a purpose and a reason behind everything that happens. This surrender is not a weakness, but a recognition that we are not in control of everything, and that's okay. In fact, it's liberating. When we let go of the illusion of control, we begin to experience life in its fullest form. A life where we are not constantly fighting but flowing with the currents of existence. Moreover, prayer is not something that happens only during designated moments in the day. It is a continuous, living practice. It's not just about sitting down to pray for 10 minutes in the morning or before bed. It's a state of being, a way of living. You can pray through every action, every thought, every interaction. Prayer is the very way you engage with the world. Your openness, your receptivity, your awareness. If you can transform your entire life into an act of prayer, you will see that every moment has the potential to bring you closer to the universe, to reveal deeper truths about yourself and the world around you. In essence, understanding prayer beyond rituals means recognizing that prayer is not an isolated act, it is a way of life. It is a continuous dialogue with the universe, a constant reminder that we are part of something greater. Prayer is about presence, about tuning yourself to the vibrations of the world around you and opening yourself to the possibility that you are not just a small, insignificant being, but an integral part of the vast and interconnected web of existence. True prayer, therefore, is not about asking for things, but about awakening to the deeper understanding that life itself is the greatest prayer we can experience. Persistence is one of the most powerful forces that shapes our lives. In a world driven by instant gratification and quick fixes, we often overlook the immense value of simply continuing forward regardless of the challenges we face. The power of persistence lies not in the dramatic leaps we make, but in the steady, consistent effort to keep going when things seem stagnant or difficult. It is the quiet force that transforms obstacles into opportunities and brings us closer to our goals even when the road appears long and uncertain. Persistence does not mean simply repeating the same actions without reflection or adaptation. It is about finding the inner strength to keep moving, even when the external world presents barriers. It is about having the patience and faith to trust that progress is happening, even when results are not immediately visible. Think about a tree growing in the forest. It doesn't rush or force its growth, it steadily reaches for the light, its roots digging deeper into the earth with each passing day. Similarly, persistence allows us to grow, not in leaps and bounds, but through the gradual and consistent effort that transforms us over time. One of the reasons why persistence is so powerful is that it builds resilience. Life will inevitably throw challenges our way, moments when we feel discouraged, exhausted, or even defeated. It's in these moments that persistence reveals its true value. The act of continuing despite setbacks strengthens our mental and emotional fortitude. It teaches us how to persevere through discomfort, how to push past temporary failures, and how to learn from mistakes. Each time we persist, we become more equipped to handle the next challenge with greater wisdom and strength. Another aspect of persistence is its ability to cultivate a sense of purpose. When we commit to something and keep working toward it day after day, we develop a deeper connection to our goals. It's not simply about reaching a destination, it's about who we become in the process. The effort, the dedication, and the discipline required to persist create a sense of fulfillment that goes beyond the outcome. We learn more about ourselves, our strengths, and our limitations. In this process, persistence becomes a transformative force, shaping not only our external reality but also our internal growth. Furthermore, persistence leads to breakthroughs. Many of the world's greatest achievements were not the result of a single moment of inspiration, but rather the culmination of relentless effort over time. Think of the countless inventions, works of art, and scientific discoveries that were the result of continuous effort, even when progress seemed slow. The ability to stay the course, to keep pushing through, ultimately brings results. It's easy to give up when you're not seeing immediate rewards, but it's often the case that the greatest achievements come just when we are about to give up. Persistence is what allows us to break through the barriers that would otherwise keep us stuck. In the end, persistence is not just a virtue, it is a transformative power that turns adversity into growth. It teaches us that success is not a matter of luck, but a reflection of our ability to keep going even when the road gets tough. It is the quiet, steady force that turns dreams into reality. So, when things feel difficult or when it seems like nothing is happening, remember that persistence is working for you. It is in the persistence, the daily commitment to show up, that we find our strength and our true potential. Prayer is often viewed as an external act, a way of communicating with a higher power or seeking guidance from the universe. Yet prayer is not just about asking for something or requesting an outcome. In its deepest form, prayer is an inner process, a transformative experience that fundamentally changes the person who prays. The true power of prayer lies not in its ability to alter external circumstances immediately, but in its profound ability to alter the very essence of who we are. When we engage in prayer, we step into a space of reflection and vulnerability. The words we speak, the thoughts we think, and the intentions we hold become a mirror for our inner world. Prayer acts as a sacred dialogue with the universe, not just for the purpose of asking for help or seeking something specific, but for the deeper purpose of self-reflection. It invites us to turn inward and examine the state of our hearts, our minds, and our soul. Through this process, prayer reveals to us the patterns that shape our thoughts and emotions. It allows us to witness the spaces within ourselves that need healing, growth, and attention. As we engage in prayer with sincerity, It creates a space for deep introspection. The act of praying makes us confront our own limitations, fears, and desires. It asks us to look at the parts of ourselves that we often avoid, the parts of our psyche that are filled with doubt, insecurity, and pain. Prayer invites us to embrace those parts with compassion, not as something to be feared or rejected, but as something that needs our attention and understanding. This kind of inner work is what truly transforms us. It is in the moments of stillness during prayer, when we allow ourselves to become fully present, that we begin to see who we really are beyond the distractions and illusions we carry in our daily lives. Moreover, prayer is a means of aligning ourselves with something greater than our individual selves. It is not about focusing solely on our own needs or desires, but about connecting to a higher purpose or the universal energy that sustains all life. When we pray with this awareness, we begin to see our lives as part of a much larger, interconnected web. Our sense of isolation diminishes and we start to experience a deeper sense of connection, not only to the divine, but to the world and the people around us. This shift in perception leads to profound changes in our actions, attitudes, and relationships. We become more compassionate, more understanding, and more willing to serve the world around us. The act of prayer in this way helps us transcend the ego, which is often the source of our suffering, and aligns us with the flow of life. At its core, prayer offers a path to healing. Many of the wounds we carry are not just physical but emotional and spiritual. In times of pain or hardship, we often turn to prayer as a source of comfort. But prayer does much more than provide solace. It is through prayer that we open ourselves up to the healing process. It is a space where we can release pent-up emotions, express grief, and let go of past hurts. Prayer becomes a sanctuary where we can surrender our pain and seek inner peace. As we pour our hearts out, we make room for healing, and in that process, we find ourselves becoming whole once more. As we persist in prayer, it fosters a shift from a mindset of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and possibility. In moments of prayer, we are reminded that we are part of something vast and limitless, a universe filled with infinite potential. This realization allows us to release our attachment to outcomes and the fear of failure. Prayer invites us to trust the process of life and to believe that everything is unfolding as it should. Through this surrender, we find peace in the unknown, knowing that our lives are not just a series of random events, but a series of divine orchestrations that are guiding us toward greater wisdom and understanding. The transformative power of prayer is not always immediate or visible, but over time it works on our hearts and minds in ways we may not fully understand. It softens the edges of our fears, expands our capacity for love, and deepens our ability to understand the complexities of life. Through prayer, we become more attuned to the present moment and more aligned with the rhythm of the universe. This inner transformation is the true gift of prayer, not just the fulfillment of desires, but the unfolding of a new way of being in the world. As we continue to pray, we evolve, and with each prayer, we take a step closer to our truest, most authentic selves. Faith in the process is one of the most powerful yet challenging aspects of life. It is the ability to trust in the unfolding of events even when the path ahead is unclear or when immediate results are not visible. In a world that often prizes instant gratification and quick results, having faith in the process requires patience, understanding, and a deep belief that things are happening for a reason, even if we cannot always see it in the moment. It is a commitment to remain steady and grounded no matter what unfolds, trusting that every step taken, no matter how small, is part of a larger journey. At its essence, faith in the process is about surrendering the need for control. Many of us have a tendency to try and control every aspect of our lives, the outcomes, the timelines, the people around us. We want things to happen according to our own plans and expectations. However, life rarely unfolds the way we expect it to. The more we try to impose our will, the more we create resistance. Faith in the process, on the other hand, asks us to let go of that resistance and to trust that the universe or life itself has a rhythm and flow that is bigger than our individual desires. It encourages us to embrace the uncertainty and to allow things to evolve naturally. When we place our faith in the process, we understand that progress is not always linear. We often expect immediate results when we put in effort, and when those results don't come right away, we can feel disheartened, discouraged, or even lost. However, growth and progress often come in unexpected ways. There may be moments of apparent stagnation or setbacks, but it is in these moments that the foundations for future success are often being laid. Just as a seed may take time to sprout and grow, so too do our efforts often take time to come to fruition. The process may not be immediate, but that doesn't mean it is not working. Trusting the process means accepting that everything has its own timeline and that our patience will eventually lead to the outcome we seek. Faith in the process also requires an understanding that what we perceive as setbacks or failures are often opportunities for growth and learning. Each challenge or moment of difficulty can teach us something valuable. When we face adversity, it is easy to lose faith and wonder if we are on the right path. But in reality, these moments are essential to our development. They shape our character, teach us resilience, and help us refine our vision. If we learn to trust the process during these difficult times, we realize that setbacks are not roadblocks, but rather stepping stones that lead us closer to our goals. They are part of the process, not obstacles to it. Another important aspect of having faith in the process is trusting that everything is happening in accordance with a larger plan, even if we cannot see it. Life has a way of guiding us through experiences that shape us, even when those experiences seem painful or confusing at the time. When we trust in the process, we trust that there is meaning behind everything that happens. Even when it doesn't make sense in the moment, it is about believing that life is not random and that there is a purpose behind every experience. When we adopt this perspective, we become less attached to specific outcomes and more open to whatever the universe has in store. This openness allows us to navigate life with greater ease and peace, knowing that every experience contributes to our greater growth and understanding. Having faith in the process also means letting go of the obsession with perfection. It's easy to become fixated on the ideal version of how we think our life should look or how we should be progressing, but perfection is an illusion, and the process is often messy and unpredictable. It is not about reaching some predetermined destination, but about being fully present in the journey, embracing the ups and downs, and recognizing the growth that happens along the way. Trusting in the process means accepting that things may not always go as planned and being okay with that. Life is not about getting everything right. It is about learning, evolving, and growing through the experiences we face. Ultimately, faith in the process is an act of surrender. It is about releasing the need to control everything and trusting that life will unfold as it should. It is about recognizing that we are part of a much larger interconnected flow of existence and that our role is not to force outcomes but to show up and do our part with sincerity and patience. When we trust in the process, we step into a place of peace, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it is meant to. This trust allows us to navigate life with greater grace and confidence, knowing that we are always being guided, even when the path seems uncertain. Detachment is often misunderstood as a form of indifference or coldness, but in reality it is one of the most powerful and liberating practices for personal growth and peace of mind. The role of detachment in life is not about withdrawing from the world, escaping relationships, or avoiding responsibilities. Rather, it is about releasing the emotional and mental attachments that bind us to expectations, outcomes, and possessions. It is a practice that allows us to experience life more fully and freely without being weighed down by desires, fears, or the constant need to control everything around us. At its core, detachment is about cultivating a sense of inner freedom. We live in a world where attachment to outcomes, people, and material possessions is often encouraged. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that happiness comes from achieving specific goals or acquiring certain things. We chase success, relationships, and material wealth, believing that these external factors will bring us lasting fulfillment. However, the more we cling to these things, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment and suffering. This is because all things, people, possessions, and even circumstances are impermanent. The very nature of existence is that everything changes and nothing is guaranteed to stay the same forever. When we are attached to something, we become dependent on it for our sense of security and happiness. This dependency creates fear and anxiety as we worry about losing what we have become so attached to. Detachment is not about rejecting the world or denying ourselves the joy of experiencing life. It is about cultivating a deeper understanding of the impermanence of all things. It allows us to engage with the world without becoming overly attached to any one thing or outcome. When we practice detachment, we learn to enjoy the present moment without constantly worrying about what will happen next or what we might lose. This shift in perspective enables us to experience life with greater clarity and presence, free from the burden of attachment. Detachment also plays a critical role in relationships. In our relationships with others, we often become attached to specific outcomes or expectations. We may desire certain behaviors, emotions, or responses from others, and when those expectations are not met, we feel hurt, disappointed, or betrayed. Detachment in relationships does not mean withdrawing emotionally or becoming detached from the people we care about. Rather, it is about freeing ourselves from the need to control others or to rely on them for our happiness. It is about recognizing that each individual has their own path, their own struggles, and their own choices. By practicing detachment, we can love and support others without becoming emotionally entangled in their decisions. This creates a healthier, more balanced dynamic where we can truly give without expecting anything in return. Moreover, detachment helps us to free ourselves from the cycle of desire. Our desires, whether for success, love, wealth, or status, often dictate much of our actions and thoughts. We chase after these desires with the belief that fulfilling them will bring us happiness, only to find that once we attain them, they are fleeting or unsatisfactory. Detachment from desires does not mean giving up on goals or ambitions, but rather understanding that our happiness does not depend on their fulfillment. It is about shifting our focus from the pursuit of external achievements to the cultivation of inner contentment. When we let go of the obsessive need to acquire or achieve, we open ourselves to a more profound sense of fulfillment that comes from within. Detachment also fosters resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and losses. When we are attached to a particular outcome, we are vulnerable to feelings of frustration, sadness, or anger when things do not go as planned. However, when we practice detachment, we are able to accept whatever comes our way with greater ease and grace. Detachment allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life without being completely shaken by them. We learn to trust that whatever happens is part of the larger flow of life and that even setbacks are opportunities for growth. This sense of inner stability makes us less reactive and more adaptable, enabling us to face difficulties with a calm and balanced mind. In essence, detachment is a practice of letting go. It is about releasing the mental and emotional clutches that we place on people, situations, and material things. It is not about rejecting life or becoming indifferent, but about embracing life with greater clarity, freedom, and peace. By practicing detachment, we learn to live in the present moment without constantly seeking external validation or fearing loss. We discover that true happiness and peace come not from the external world, but from within, from our ability to accept and flow with life as it unfolds. In this way, detachment becomes one of the most powerful tools for cultivating a fulfilling, peaceful, and resilient life. The concept of infinite possibilities invites us to see the world not as a fixed and rigid place, but as an open, dynamic space filled with endless opportunities for growth, transformation, and creation. It encourages us to understand that every moment holds the potential for something new, that the future is not predetermined, and that we have the power to shape our lives in ways we may not even fully comprehend. This perspective allows us to break free from limiting beliefs, embrace uncertainty, and trust that the universe is constantly unfolding in ways that can surprise and inspire us. At the heart of infinite possibilities is the understanding that we are not confined by our past or our present circumstances. Too often we become trapped by our own narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we can achieve, and what is possible. These stories are often shaped by past experiences, societal expectations, and the limitations imposed on us by others. However, when we embrace the idea of infinite possibilities, we free ourselves from these self-imposed boundaries. We recognize that we are not defined by our past mistakes, failures, or even our successes. Each new moment is an opportunity to begin again, to rewrite our story, and to choose a different path. This awareness of infinite possibilities also invites us to look beyond the constraints of what we already know. It pushes us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace the unknown. When we operate from a place of certainty, we are often confined to the known, to what we can predict and control. But it is in the unknown, the space where we don't have all the answers, that true growth and transformation happen. Infinite possibilities exist precisely because there is so much we do not yet understand. Life is constantly evolving, and every day brings with it new insights, new experiences, and new opportunities that we cannot foresee. By opening ourselves to this uncertainty, we allow ourselves to be surprised by the beauty and potential of life. The idea of infinite possibilities also teaches us to reframe failure. In a world that often equates failure with personal inadequacy or defeat, the recognition of infinite possibilities shifts our perception. Failure is not a dead end, but a stepping stone on the path of discovery. Each failure is simply a lesson, a redirection, a necessary part of the process of growth. In fact, many of the greatest achievements in history were born from a series of failures. When we realize that the possibilities are infinite, we understand that a single failure does not define us. There are always new opportunities, new directions, and new ways forward. This mindset encourages resilience as we learn to see each setback as a temporary challenge, not a permanent barrier. Another key element of infinite possibilities is the realization that we are not alone in shaping our futures. While we have the power to influence our lives through our choices and actions, the universe, nature, and the interconnectedness of all things play a role in the unfolding of possibilities. By remaining open to the synchronicities and signs that life presents, we begin to recognize the subtle ways in which life supports us. Opportunities often come from unexpected sources, people, experiences, or even moments of quiet reflection. When we recognize that the universe is full of potential, we start to see the infinite ways in which things can unfold. What may seem like a small decision or chance encounter could be the catalyst for a transformation we never imagined. This understanding of infinite possibilities also expands our view of what we are capable of. Often we limit ourselves because we believe we are not capable of achieving something or because we fear the unknown. We may shy away from our dreams because we think they are too big, too unrealistic, or too far out of reach. Yet, when we embrace the idea that anything is possible, We open ourselves to the understanding that we are capable of more than we think. Infinite possibilities remind us that there are no boundaries to human potential, that with courage, perseverance, and an open heart, we can achieve things we once thought impossible. Ultimately, the notion of infinite possibilities is about liberation. It frees us from the constraints of fear, doubt, and limitation, and encourages us to live with greater curiosity, openness, and creativity. When we embrace the idea that anything can happen, we step into a state of constant possibility. This perspective empowers us to make choices not based on what we have already experienced or what we believe to be true, but based on the limitless potential that lies ahead. By embracing infinite possibilities, we invite life to surprise us, challenge us, and transform us in ways we could never have imagined.